welcome to whatever the hell we're doing here. We have all decided that we are going to watch WCW 2000. Why? I don't know. It was something to do. And maybe we just hate ourselves. But, my name is Benito, but I am not alone for this ride. I would like to present first the man, the professor, Bad Yo-Yo. How are you doing?
Hello, everyone! I'm very sorry.
And we have the living legend, Craig. Craig, how are you doing?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm doing well. What have we got ourselves into with this?
Well, what did we get ourselves into? This is WCW 2000. Um, whose idea was this?
I can't say.
I think it was just a collection of all of our ideas coming into one.
Because I've always been fascinated with Russo and just the way he books and what his mindset is with everything that goes into it. Because, yes, he's tropey, but wrestling itself is tropey. So what sets his awfulness apart from everything else?
Well,
so I think I'm part of this.
Well, I'm part of this because I was 3-4 when this happened. I watched some WCW, and I remember I thought it was the coolest thing because, again, I was 3. But then I was just like, well, I might as well look back on it and see what we got. But after this first episode, I'm not sure if I want to do this again.
And I'm part of this because WCW 2000 is my guilty pleasure. I used to watch all the pay-per-views and some of the Nitros on the network when I had the network before, and I just sat there bemused and laughed my ass off. It's just one of the funniest and weirdest experiences wrestling's ever created.
Well, I guess before we start, we should all tell everyone about our wrestling. We are all wrestling fans. If we weren't, we wouldn't be doing this. I will start by saying what my first experience that I remember watching. My first experience, I think it was Stone Cold driving some quarter machine. I don't remember. Again, this was like 3. But then I came back to it about 2004, and the first match I remember seeing back then was Matt Hardy versus Kane in the wedding match with the Lita thing, and that's a great place to start. So, let's go with Yo-Yo, earliest wrestling experience.
Earliest wrestling experience would
or
probably
like
because I had a school bully who would constantly try to stunner me. And just, it doesn't matter what you think. And I had no idea what that meant. So, to prove that I was better than him, I began watching wrestling so I could predict things. And then we became friends. And my therapist has a huge field day with me every day.
Craig?
The first ever wrestling memory I've got is coming home one Sunday. I think we came back from like a day out or a trip out, and turning on TV, and Channel 4, which is one of the major TV stations over here, was playing an episode of Sunday Night Heat, and it had Scotty 2 Hotty and Grandmaster Sexay with Rikishi versus Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy with Lita, and I just fell in love with those characters, and I'm still a fan of the Hardys and Rikishis.
All right. So, we are all wrestling fans, and we have decided to watch, if we don't lose our sanity by the end of this, every WCW Nitro from the year 2000. So, the way we thought about doing this is we're going to do the Nitros in a podcast format like we're doing right now. But we're also going to watch the pay-per-views, but they're going to be live commentaries.
So
So
you can watch along and suffer.
you can watch along. So the first one we're gonna do is Sold Out, which is not it's not the next show, it's the show after. Because we're 2 weeks away from it. You wouldn't know by the whole entire show here that you had a pay-per-view coming up in 2 weeks. But so that's what we're gonna do. Just to give a little backstory about WCW for people who don't know it. No, it does not stand for Woman Crush Wednesday. Um, it stands for World Championship Wrestling. It was a territory back in the territory days. Before it was purchased by Ted Turner, turned it to World Class Championship Wrestling. It was beating WWE for the longest time during the Monday Night Wars with the NWO, and then it fell off a cliff. They tried to redo some of their former glory. Um, they basically kept running the NWO thing into the ground. Um, so when you get to October 1999, this when the man, the myth, the legend, the so-called executor of WCW, Vince Russo, shows up. So at this point, he's been running it for about three months. Um, then uh, then he'll be gone in 2 weeks anyway, which is the funny part. And then but he'll come back, and we'll get to that once we get to Reboot Nitro. But first, we've got to deal with January 3rd, 2000. So, anybody want to say anything nice or anything comments before we get started?
Yeah. For this particular Nitro, Russo had a very, very particular task. He had the idea because Nitro at 1999 was 3 hours long. That's normal name Raw now. And anyone who's seen Raw knows that's way too fucking long. And even Russo would agree with this. So, this was the first ever Nitro to go back to the 2 hour format. And that would make things easier to watch, but they would lose a lot of ad revenue. So they needed to get a high rating.
Before you keep going, thank God it moved to 2 hours. I couldn't stand 3 if we had to do this.
No. So, basically, the entire focus of this particular Nitro is to crown a new tag champion. Hey, come watch our show. We're going to get a brand new champion. We're making history. And it's a tournament arc. Those always work in wrestling. Look at King of the Ring. Look at King of the Ring.
Look at It's a Deadly Game.
Look at any anime ever. Yeah, I was going to say any anime ever.
It's just natural to get people to watch and get interested and get invested in people. Didn't work out. They did not get the rating they were looking for. And eventually Russo was going to get killed for reasons later on we'll state.
Yes.
But it is based on someone on this show. Shh.
All right. Craig, any comments before we start?
WCW at the time was in a phase of change a lot, and just I think I came into watching a couple of episodes thanks to like tapes being passed over by my nan to my dad, because Channel 5 had WCW at the time, and they also had K1, so my dad would get K1 kickboxing tapes, and I'd get some WCW tapes. And I remember thinking, oh my god, what is this? This is totally different to WWF at the time, and why is it so weird? David Flair and Daphne were highlights of that whole weirdness, as you'll find out tonight.
All right. Let's start on this road. This is WCW in the year 2000. January 3rd, 2000's on the network. All of the Nitros are on the network. That's how we're watching it.
Mm-hmm.
So, the show opens with I just have it wrote here. Opens with Steiner crying. That's what I have written down here. So, because Steiner had like a back or neck injury that he was going to retire from, but Bret came out, called him an ass, because Bret Hart. And then Scott Steiner, they're in this like tag tournament thing match, and then Steiner comes out in his brace. He looks like he's gonna beat up the NWO, but no, swerve. It's a swerve, man. You're gonna see a lot of these. Um, Steiner beats up his tag partner and joins the NWO. And then I have written down here monster truck. Do you remember what a monster truck? Oh, I remember. They
I
ran,
do.
they ran over Sid with a monster truck.
Yeah. This,
Absolutely.
They ran over Sid with a monster truck. So they did
and
like
you,
a month worth of storylines here in one episode.
and I just remember Shavante saying on commentary, "Oh, they've gone too far this time," during the highlights of the when the build-up package.
All right.
I'm starting to see Mark Henry take some acting advice from Scott Steiner and know how to do it correctly.
All right. So the WCW this episode opens with an airplane coming down.
I miss planes so much. We need more planes in wrestling.
You need more planes in wrestling, really?
I miss the helicopter the Shield came in.
Oh, that was a nice helicopter. I will admit that. That's what we should do next episode. We just get like airplanes in wrestling. Here. All right.
Ric Flair's one.
Yeah, Ric Flair always had a nice airplane.
Rattlesnakes on a plane.
All right, so airplane shows up at an airstrip. So apparently there's going to be a new commish because the NWO is running wild. So we need a new commissioner. We'll get to that. So commentators tonight: Tony Schiavone, Mike Tenay, Bobby the Brain Heenan. During this year, I do remember that the commentary team did play some musical chairs.
Oh, did they ever?
Oh, we'll get to it. Mark Madden from the Aladdin.
Mark Madden.
All right. So,
Hey, at least there were some straight shooters on this show.
yeah. Okay.
I've got on my notes drum and bass intro with bad WCW logo.
Yeah, it had the shit WCW logo, and it was just bad. So, this whole show is based on crowning new tag team champions because they stripped the outsiders of the belts. I don't know why they did. It's just because Scott Hall didn't show up anymore.
Oh yeah, there's a real life reason, but they made it kayfabe, and that's actually a big problem because that actually makes the outsiders the face, because now they have to fight for them back.
Yeah, but the outsiders weren't even in this tournament. So, as I'm trying to soak this all in, all of a sudden I hear bad Road Dogg music, and then out comes Buzzkill. Now, for people who don't know Buzzkill is actually Brad Armstrong, who is Road Dogg's brother, and he's pulling like a bad Road Dogg impression.
Road Dogg in a tie-dye shirt.
Like a
With-
hippie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this is the first Russo trope we're gonna experience in 2000.
Yeah.
Ripping off other people's gimmicks and making them your own. Sometimes that works really well. For
Sometimes.
instance, Gilbert. Let's
Sean
copy
Stacey.
WCW and make a goofy loser. Or Black Machismo and Jay Lethal.
Black Machismo
Here-
is good, yeah.
At the very least, Brad Armstrong, who was basically a no-name person and no one cared about him, you at least had something to him.
Hey, at least he was his brother, I guess.
Yeah, that actually makes some interesting conflict.
So, the first match is in the quarterfinals of the tournament. It's Buzzkill and Mike Rotunda. Bray Wyatt and Bull Dallas's father, who is acting like he is a college wrestler, even though at this point I think he was like 40 or 50. Coming out with Kevin Sullivan and I don't know who the lady was.
That would be Leia Meow.
Leia Meow. All she did
Also
was
known
all she did,
as Kimona.
yeah, that was Kimona. Yeah, okay. Oh God, that was Kimona. But all she was there for was wearing a bikini and jumping up and down on a trampoline. That's like all she did.
It wasn't the worst.
versus the Harris twins, also known as the DOA. Because they just dress like bikers, and they were in the original DOA.
Russo loves them, the DOA, and the Harris twins. And quite frankly, so do I.
So,
If I ever had a boy, it's these guys. These guys are the original Luke Gallows of just bald dudes who are bikers who decided, yeah, let's do this wrestling thing.
weren't the Harris twins the people who were trying to buy TNA?
At one point, yes.
Yeah, they were.
One time, yeah.
Yeah.
And so Kevin Sullivan and Mike Rotunda, they used to have this thing called the Varsity Club back in the late 80s. Now, if you're going to bring back an old stable, there's ways to do it.
Not like this.
And no. Part of the purpose is to find new members to replace them. Like when the Four Horsemen recruited Benoit and Malenko to show off, like, oh, a new generation that you should all pay attention to. And if you're like a varsity kind of style amateur wrestler, you could find like a good area in this stable. But no, they have all the old members and one hot girl.
Yeah. I guess that was it for them. So, there's two things in this match that you're going to see constantly during the show. Number one, Mike Rotunda comes out and cuts a promo about how bad the local sports team is. Or anything local.
I just love the. I have the quote line.
Not the local sports team.
I have the quote line. They don't deserve to wear the color orange. What is that? Even an insult?
Like, I think, well, where were they? I don't even
His Letterman jacket is orange, and they were in like close to Clemson.
Oh, yeah, they were close to Clemson. Their team colors are red.
Apparently, their like university football team probably lost something important back then.
Yeah.
That's something we still do in wrestling today. Insult the team that got like something bad happen to them.
Yeah. And at this point, Kevin Sullivan joins commentary booth. I don't have much notes about this match. Do you have anything before I get to the finish?
I do have one thing, a segment I want to call "Who's the Face?"
Oh God.
Because in Russo land, it's very hard to tell.
In Russo land, it is very hard to tell.
So, the Harris twins moved into this tournament because they won by countout because Finlay attacked each other. But, in their defense, Mike Rotunda and Kevin Sullivan are abusive old men, and Buzzkill is a guy who doesn't like wrestlers. So, and they also did insult the local sports team. So I'm going to vote for the Harris twins as the faces we were supposed to follow up.
I think you're probably right.
And also, I think Mike Tenay said, oh, because Kevin Sullivan was like talking about their workout regimen for Mike Rotunda.
Yeah.
He said, wow, you're quite the taskmaster, huh?
Oh, for God's sakes.
And that was funny.
Craig,
I did like that line. I'll admit, Kimono on a trampoline is not the worst thing I've ever seen in wrestling. It is probably not suitable nowadays in terms of women's representation in wrestling, but it was a different time, and I'm not going to complain. Match was short, which is a positive sometimes, especially for TV wrestling, but they just seemed a bit like clunky. They didn't really have any flow to it.
Right.
And again, yeah, seeing Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan on commentary, that's a plus. That's always a plus because I'm a huge Dungeon of Doom fan.
All right. Before I get to the finish, Kimona has done some worse stuff because she was in ECW.
Yeah.
With Raven. She one time I remember because I was watching an ECW documentary. She did like a strip tease at some point in front of the ECW faithful. Like because the ring broke and they needed to stall for time.
That sounds like something I do in TEW, which is like fill up time.
Yep. All right. So another thing we're gonna notice with Vince Russo's WCW, people running in. So the match gets started. They do a couple things. Out comes standard and practices. Now, who are standard and practices? Stacy Keibler, who is not Stacy Keibler. She's Miss Hancock. That's great. And then two dudes. I didn't know who the two dudes were.
Oh, I can say that. That is Lenny and Lodi. Lenny Lane was a typical
Wait,
WCW jobber.
Weren't they the gay couple?
Yes, they were.
Oh,
And then
God.
WCW shut it down. And then Vince Russo made a Russo trope because he does not like censorship at all. Because he did this with what's the name of that stable? Stevie Richards, B
Right to Censor.
Squared,
Yeah,
Right
right
to
to
Censor,
censor.
yes. And now with Standards and Practices, he does not like censorship, and he does this in all his work. So he got Lenny Lane and Lodi, who is most often known as the guy who held up signs for Raven in his flock.
Yeah. I in my notes call him the shit right to censor.
Yep.
So they come out, they try to steal Kimona.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah,
Bart-
I have on my notes, kidnap, question mark, Miss Hancock and two guys come out in black jackets.
Yep.
That's it.
All right, so standard practices come out, steal Kimona. The varsity club come, beat him down, and then just while this is happening, double team on Buzzkill. The Harris twins win. In the middle of the whole kidnapping, you just do the finish when I think like no one's paying attention.
That being said, this does feel like a simple comedy match just to get the show started and get you like understanding what's going on.
Yeah.
And as our token Russo apologist, I think this match could have been a lot easier and simpler. You just didn't have to have standards and practices. Just have Buzzkill act all feminist and woke, be the anti-road dog.
Yeah.
And that would actually be kind of really funny. And then the Harris brothers did fight off the varsity club, which confirms the idea that they are supposed to be faces and they were supposed to look strong.
Yeah,
sort of.
I've written post-match, varsity club beat down everyone.
Yeah.
Well, except the Harris brothers.
Except for the Harris brothers. I think they got the hell out of there. But
What I've got here is interference counter, 1. And also, I'm to counter your to counter the point you said, if this was supposed to be a comedy match, why feature attempted kidnap?
No, that wasn't an attempted kidnapping. It's the typical, oh, there's a lady with not very much clothes on. We need to cover her and stop this.
well,
Fair
they're
enough.
also taking her to the back.
Well, yeah, because like you're trying to get her away from the scene and away from all those wandering eyes.
Oh no!
You're missing the Tenay trope of to the back.
To the back. But hey, guess where we're going now? To the back. So the commentators talk about the NWO running over Sid with a monster truck. He should be dead, but he's Sid. We'll get to him in a little bit. And talk about the new commish. Next thing you know, there's a motorcade with the new commish coming down, and then it basically is shooting on TV, and it zooms out, and there's the NWO: Kevin Nash, Scott Steiner, Jeff Jarrett. I don't think there's anybody else in there.
It's just them.
It's just them.
But I got an unpopular opinion right now.
What?
And I'm going to kill this entire show on its first day. Scott Steiner is not a good actor.
He's a fun actor.
Scott Steiner is fine and fun when he's coked out of his mind and acting crazy.
Oh, we'll get to
But when
that.
he's trying to act like a real human being, like he was in this match, like he was just reading like a cue card,
Oh,
he can't do that at all.
wait till the main event. Oh God, I have stuff written down. So they talk about the commish. They wonder where Brett is, because Brett isn't there yet. He's still part of the NWO 2000. He joined them like the day after Starrcade.
Yeah, basically now he's the big bad guy. He's taking Hogan's position.
Basically, they formed the day after Starrcade because Roddy Piper did a Montreal Screwjob at Starrcade. Then Brett didn't want to win that way, so they had a rematch between him and Goldberg. And then the NWO, like the Outsiders, came out, beat up Goldberg, and then they formed the NWO 2000. Spoiler alert: Bret Hart's gonna be gone by Sold Out.
Yep.
Is this the Starrcade, the Starrcade where you got the first concussion?
This is a Starrcade where Goldberg kicked him in the face.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll be gone by Sold Out. And then, so then we see Bret Hart walking, as music's playing, and then here comes Sid in a neck brace. After getting run over by a monster truck, beat the
The
shit.
only injury is a neck brace.
Only injury
Honestly,
is the neck.
Sid Vicious should have just been the old Braun Strowman. Survive hell, bring hell back, and then just kill everyone.
Yeah. So
Braun Strowman survived a trash compactor.
yeah, that's
There's
true.
nothing. There's anything in wrestling.
So, and then Sid just beats him down to music, and then after the break, there's a replay of showing the beatdown, sponsored by Wendy's.
And then a funny little moment where it's like they're trying to get the paramedics, and then
yep.
Brett like, I'm okay, and it's like, oh, we don't need the paramedics then, and then they beat them up.
Yep.
That was
NWO beat up the paramedics, and they show the motorcade again. Still in the back, DDP is interviewed about it's going to be at the pay-per-view, Buff Bagwell versus DDP Last Man Standing match, which honestly sounds decent.
Yeah, and DDP is still cool, and you can still enjoy his presence.
Yep.
My notes say DDP versus Buff Bagwell. Hell yeah!
In a Last Man Standing match, he's doing this interview. Then Kurt Hennig walks up and says, "Hey, the powers that be need you to be in the ring to wrestle." And
That was Kurt Hennig? I thought that was Lodi.
No, that was Kurt Hennig.
Oh, then I'm going to take away this low note. I thought they were going to play the role of Mr. Exposition.
Oh. No. Kurt Hennig just comes up, tells him he has a match, he needs to wrestle, so tell him to get out there. Okay. Match number 2. Nash and Scott Steiner, this is the quarterfinal match, versus my most hated people, PG-13. Now, if you don't know who PG-13 is, they were in WW. They're like 2 white guy rappers, and they used to rap over the Nation of Domination song until they got their ass kicked. And they came here and they wanted to be wrestlers. I just have because they did like a little speech kind of thing, and I said already hate them.
They used to be multiple time tag champions in Memphis as well, and had an appearance in, I think it was November to Remember 1997 in ECW, which was also the show Jerry Lawler took on Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah. Yo, y'all want to say anything to say about PG-13?
Basically, in the context of where they are, they were clearly the characters in this tournament arc who were the kooks, who think they were going to be the winners because they beat one team, and they beat one team by DQ because Rick Steiner kicked their ass too much after the match.
The dreaded DQ for kicking too much ass.
As Brian and Vinny would say.
So, DDP is there for some reason. I mean, he had to go out there, but why is he there?
Oh, he does explain it.
He does?
Yeah, WCW just wanted him to be there to sign a contract, and that was it. And DDP was wondering why he had to fly all the way out here.
So
he said, I'm going to go into the ring, and I'm going to just beat up PG-13.
Okay. Well, he gets his ass kicked for a little bit, and then, like DDP always does, Diamond Cutter, they're both out. And then out come Nash and Steiner with spray cans.
I have one note on Diamond Cutter.
Yeah.
I think it is Wolfie D. Wolfie D of PG-13 does the cane sell for the Diamond Cutter, where he takes one knee and does the one knee bump. And I'm like, God damn it, cane bump.
Goddamn cane bump. So then here comes Nash and Scott Steiner, who's just wearing a shirt and like jeans and army boots. Because he knows he's going to wrestle tonight. He comes out, and fucking Kevin Nash, even though they're both laid out, he has to drop an elbow and pin him grabbing the tights.
That's the most thing ever.
I love that. I honestly love that.
My opponent is prone after being hit with one of the most deadly moves in this era of wrestling. And I still need to hook the tights.
He still needs to hook the tights. I put, what the fuck? and then they spray painted PG-13 with NWO.
The only note
So
I
who
have,
was the face? DDP.
DDP.
the only note I have during this match, other than nice elbow, is Nash has nice hair and nice tassels, which is something I think I said out loud during the match when we were watching it together.
Okay, anything else about that match before we move on?
That's about it.
All right. So, for some reason, they had to go to the back so that the music can play so they can come out as a group with Jeff Jarrett and Brett. I don't know why. So they come out with bats. I don't know why. So Brett, they're cutting promo. Brett talks about being jumped in the back. Calls Sid a big stupid dummy. That was a good line. There was a little Goldberg chant in there. I heard it, but I don't even know where Goldberg is at this point.
Probably out nursing an injury.
Was this after he hit the real window?
Can't remember.
I think this was after the window scene, yeah.
Because if he hit the real window, he's out for. I think he's out till the Great American Bash. But he's
We'll look that up next time.
Yep. He's building up a match at Sold Out. That's not even going to happen. Versus Sid. So he's just building it up, and building it up. And then he gives the microphone to Jeff fucking Jarrett.
Happy New Year!
He says, "Slappy New Year."
I cringed so hard when that happened. It was so
God.
cheesy, so dumb.
So
Vince Russo's best friend, ladies and gentlemen.
So what I got out of this is it's supposed to be Jeff Jarrett versus Chris Benoit in a 3 Stages of Hell match at Sold Out. The first match is supposed to be a dungeon match, then a bunkhouse brawl, and then the way Jeff Jarrett said it, cage titty.
It wasn't until we realized it meant caged heat.
And
I don't know what's more ridiculous, the cage titty or the way they try to say hell in a cell.
What was it? We also came up with a comparison. The caged heat for Hell in a Cell would also mean like, what was it? Hot metal.
Christ.
Yeah. So
Spicy steel.
and take a great guess because Chris Benoit's in that match. You know what happens. That's most people, wrestling fans know what happened at Sold Out. So guess what? That match isn't happening.
Nope.
Nash talks about the NWO still being around. I wrote in big capital letters, "It's been 4 fucking years." And then Scott Steiner just cuts a promo. I didn't write most of it. I just said best fucking thing ever. Because I love Scott Steiner.
I love Scott Steiner too. Not in this capacity. When he's more on his own, doing his own crazy thing, like post-June, Scott Steiner's the best. This entire segment was meh. But Nash is showing off the Nash effect. A time when a wrestler is so old, he doesn't give a fuck anymore, and ironically makes his best stuff. Because like he's saying, oh, they're going to bring a WCW commissioner to do something. To do what? We've been doing this shit for 4 years. Nothing's ever happened.
It's been 4 fucking years, guys.
Why do we only have one microphone? Why do we have to keep passing it between each other? WCW. I love Nash.
I don't know what I wrote here, so we're just gonna continue.
I think this is where I started counting how many mullets I could see in this.
Alright.
So I had Nash to start with on the mullet count.
Alright. We're moving on to match 3. This is the quarterfinal match 2. Craig, who comes out?
I need to check my notes again.
Okay, I'll tell you. David Flair, and Crowbar.
Oh
Why
God.
doesn't Crowbar use a crowbar?
Craig, I want you to tell the audience what you said when Crowbar and David Flair's music started playing.
Okay, so weird, sounds slightly synthesized laugh plays, and then just weird guitar. And I just said, it sounds like a bee having sex, like a really angry bee sex. And I'm like, it's the worst theme I've ever heard. It's honestly one of the worst themes I've heard in a long time.
All right. So it's David Flair and Crowbar come up with Daphne. We'll get to Daphne in the show too. Versus Lash LaRue and Midnight. Midnight is apparently Booker T and Stevie Ray. Know her?
I looked this up. Apparently, she was supposed to be storyline sister to them.
Okay. Stevie Ray didn't see it. And Stevie Ray's on commentary for this match.
Yeah. Oh, and we hit a new Russo trope.
Whoa,
parodying movie stars. As Lash LaRue was basically a parody of Lash LaRue.
Yeah.
A Cajun Hollywood star. And that was it.
So,
and also, Midnight was clearly trying to be the female Undertaker.
So, Midnight's theme is just basically a gong going off. The arena goes black, goes off a couple more times, and then she's just there. Like, what?
She scared Lash LaRue, which was funny. This was a good comedy.
And
I actually think LaRue and Midnight had legitimate chemistry.
Okay, so it's like, she's like the female taker. I wrote Stevie Ray doesn't like Midnight for a reason. And then I wrote...
Because he's straight shooting.
The only thing I wrote... There's two things I wrote about this match before we get to the finish. There was a nice dive by Lash LaRue. And then Midnight tried to lift Lash LaRue and she barely could.
I have a couple of notes during the match. Awkward chemistry between David Flair and Lash. They just didn't seem to click at all. It was very sloppy looking wrestling. The dive, I loved Midnight's dropkick. She did an awesome dropkick considering I didn't know who she was until this point. And then, it's like, okay, you're not just a bodybuilder, you can actually go. And and then it just goes to the end of the match, which I'll pass it over to you. But the end of the match is just chaos.
Yeah. You have anything to say before we get to the finish?
You know, two things. A good thing and a bad thing.
Okay.
Midnight got over during the match. She got cheers from a very dead crowd. And I think there was like some good things there, but Russo doesn't care because he's sexist. And this is not Russo's fault, but this one is WCW's fault. I hate heels that are Mary Sue villains. They just whine about older characters and not gain like any attention to them. And Stevie Ray was that during the entire commentary section. It's basically trying to make him look interesting, but he's already been interesting because he's been in the NWO.
He was the leader of the B team.
Yeah, he was the leader of the B team. You can't do this storyline anymore. Velveteen can do it because he's new.
All right.
Oh, God. And that's basically all I have. Because I can talk about other things in the next segments.
All right. The finish. Oh, my God, this finish. So Midnight goes outside. Stevie gets on the commentary desk and punches her in the face. Like, I heard a good right there.
Yeah, he had a slapjack.
Yeah. So, the Vince Russo trope, everybody's running out. Here comes Booker T to figure out what's going on with Stevie Ray and Midnight. Out comes the Disco Inferno with the FBI. Who at this point was Vito, and I think it was Tony Mamaluke. That was it.
Yep.
So, they come out, the rest distracted, beat down on Lash LaRue by the FBI. Ray hits T and Midnight with the slapjack. All of a sudden, David Flair and Crowbar, who are partners in this match, start fighting. For no reason. Probably because they're crazy.
It's because they're crazy.
Yep. And then at the end of this, David pins Lash, and then the FBI keep beating down Lash. Craig.
The fact that the FBI interfered, I never got.
There's
have no
actually
idea.
a reason for that, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that after.
I kind of popped for Disco Inferno appearing, but it was just the weirdest match. Again, it's an interference, and that's 3 out of 3 so far in the interference count. And just the Stevie Ray with the flapjack is the like flapjack to Booker, flapjack to Midnight. Like Jesus Christ, Stevie Ray looked a badass in this one segment more than he had his entire career up to that point. He looked like an actual threat, like an intimidating heel. I will be honest with that.
Yo-Yo, do you have reasoning for this?
Yes, because basically they were going on to take on Disco Inferno's friend, Lash LaRue, and they were apparently allies at this point. Because in the next segment we have over, Lash LaRue is asking why Mr. Glenn Gilberti, aka Disco Inferno, is with what is essentially the Mafia. And then I begin slapping myself. Because I run an internet federation. And they're called the Blood-Filled Mafia. And I just stole this gimmick from Vince Russo because this is exactly what they are. It's the fucking Mafia. This is what Vince Russo has made. I don't know why they attacked Lash LaRue. I guess maybe he has money he owes Disco Inferno? But this is to set up a great match at Sold Out. That's all I got.
Sweet.
2.
All right. So, anything else for that match before we move on?
I got nothing left.
Greg?
I was going to say, the only thing I want to do is, I want to see more of Midnight. I don't know if she has more matches. Like,
I
singles
looked
matches.
next week, and I think she does. So, at this point, I was like, why are we doing this? And then here comes Lex Luger dressed as Sting. And at that point, I decided, well, I need one of those. So here comes Sting. He's cutting a promo because apparently they're having a match at Sold Out, I'm guessing. I don't even know if that match is happening. So Lex Luger's like challenging people, and out comes the man Vince Russo wanted to be WCW World Champion, Tank Abbott.
You know what's sad?
What?
For 4 years, WCW have wanted to do Lex Luger versus Sting.
Mm-hmm.
And Russo remembered this should be a thing. And this is how you build it up.
Also, at this point, he's fully into the total package thing. I think this is the point where he comes out in like sweatpants and a shirt, and then he rips it off. So Tank Abbott, former UFC MMA star, Vince Russo had high hopes for this guy. He wanted him to be WCW champion.
The guy.
Like, the guy in it.
I guess this kind of falls into, like, Russo's kind of mind Nitro.
Yeah.
Get as many, like, real-life stars involved with your product as possible, especially if they're, like, name brand people. We're going to see this a lot in CCW 2000. And at the time, Tank Abbott was no Ken Shamrock.
No.
But his 8 wins he got were from very brutal knockdowns, and people were interested in seeing what Tank Abbott could make because he killed people with his fist.
Yep. Right now, Tank Abbott's record is 10-15 in mixed martial arts.
And at the time, he was 8-8.
Yep. So here's where it gets weird. So Vince Russo wanted him to be WCW World Champion. So he pitched that. They didn't let him do that. Russo wanted him to be a mid-card champion, but that didn't happen. And then Vince Russo left for a while.
Well, it's different things. It's more just like, oh shoot, Jarrett and Sid Vicious are down, and Bret Hart's gone. Oh no, Bret Hart and Jarrett are both gone. We need to do something fast. Russo's going to say, let's do it and give it to Tank Abbott. And it's like, that's the worst idea I've ever heard. Get the hell out of our company.
But he'd be back.
Oh, he'd be back all right.
So
And that's why the sold out show has like none of the matches that have been advertised because we never get to see it because Russo's storylines all got canned at once.
so this is not really a match. Lex Luger basically tries to run. Tank follows him, and then Elizabeth at this point sprays him in the face with mace for the
Who's
DQ.
the
DQ.
face? Abbott.
Yeah,
Because
He
it
got
was
maced by the Cowardly Luger.
and then Jerry Flynn.
Jerry Flynn.
Why Jerry Flynn?
Simple.
Why?
Because he got knocked out by Tank last week.
I know, but it's Jerry Flynn. He's a certified jobber for WCW for years, and he made why would they put the guy who they like Russo wanted to put over with a certified jobber in an angle? Just it doesn't.
Well, Russo has a mentality that everyone should be used all the time. And he gives this is a great way to get Jerry Flynn some airtime, and also someone for Tank Abbott to kill.
And they would have the match at sold out.
And Tank Abbott does indeed kill Jerry Flynn.
Oh, we'll see that. So I wrote DQ, I guess. I didn't really have the match started. So Jerry Flynn beats him up, and then Lex Luger and Elizabeth start going up to the ramp, and then next thing you know, they get scared by a crow.
Just random crow on perch.
You know what that reminded me of? Sting, Eric Bischoff, the bird on the computer.
The security guard bird.
The security bird. That is a token of Sting's work because he is the crow.
Yep.
It's
And he
also
used to have a vulture that would scare people, but they don't have that budget anymore, so they switched it to a crow.
Yep.
It's also a token of Russo's writing because it was also Russo who wrote the angle for Eric Bischoff being stopped in his office with dead fear because a crow was on his computer.
Go away, bird!
It's so dumb. It's magnificent.
All right. So the NWO were here for like their fourth fucking thing.
How the NWO theme carries on.
They try to attack the new commission, the car, but they're not having it.
They're scared of security in white and yellow shirts.
Yeah.
And that was a plot point.
So out comes this guy, Rob. Don't remember his last name. Don't care. He's basically out. He's like WCW head guy, announced a new commish. The only thing I wrote was worst promo ever. Anybody know this promo?
Basically, he was saying, we have tried everything, so we need to go to hardcore. And that's all I got.
So, new commish leads to Terry Funk.
Terry Funk.
It's Terry Funk coming out of his millionth retirement.
I think it was only his 7th at that time, but still it's 7th retirement.
But I love that they're like, we're going to announce Terry Funk, and then we're going to cut to the crowd, and we're going to see shocked fans all over the place. They're just fans that don't care.
I also have...
What?
The crowd responded cheerfully with this new announcement with, we want Flair! We want Flair!
We do want Flair.
After rewatching this, because I did rewatch this segment, mullet counter goes up from 1 to 5. Terry Funk mullet, you have a security guy in the back, you have Chris Harris, who's one of the security guys.
Chris Harris was here.
And then there is a security guy that has the puffiest, most 80s looking mullet I've ever seen in my life. And I, from then on, called him mullet security guy. Because he just took my attention from that whole segment. I wasn't interested in Funk, I was interested in the mullet security guy.
Alright, so Funk comes out. Funk comes out with security. One of them is Chris Harris. He says that he loves real shit. It is Terry Funk. Talk about the powers that be, which at this point is Vince Russo. He has notes. This is where my notes abandoned me. Basically, he's just cutting a promo, cutting down Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara. And then he announces that needs an enforcer. So when you hear enforcer, there's only one name that comes to my mind, and I was right. It's Arn Anderson, looking old.
Arn Anderson.
Looking old. Can't do anything.
He's always looked old, though.
No. Even when
I think I said when we were watching it, Arn Anderson doesn't age. He looked
Much
permanently old.
He's always just a guy who you imagine is an uncle.
He was born a grandpa, and he would live on his entire life as a grandpa.
I said, let's bring out the old people.
And the old people did come.
Yeah. So they chained for Flair. He's not here. Don't get your hopes up. Arn cuts pretty good promo about the way things used to be and all that. Back in my day, promo. Then the NWO come out again. And you just keep hearing their music. Like, it was good. You heard the Wolfpack, and then it just went downhill. Basically, just cuts the promo, calling them old, and say that the NWO is the best.
I think they said in the segment that they wanted to let Terry Funk retire with some dignity, and then there's like, I'm still alive and I'm still fighting, and it's like, yeah, but how alive are you going to be? It's like, you could kill me, but I'll still continue going, Funk.
That is actually kind of badass. Funk is trying his hardest in this role that will never be meant to be.
So
Funk has passion for wrestling, whatever he's doing. So Funk is a bright star at this point in this show. He just helped it.
So then Commissioner Funk puts some stipulation in the world title match that isn't happening. If NWO interfere, Brett loses the belt. Don't worry, he's gonna lose it by sold out. And the referee will be Arn Anderson. I don't even remember if that was the case. Because, spoiler alert, it's Sid versus Chris Benoit. And then he books tonight Jarrett versus Sid for the U.S. title in a powerbomb match. Now, Yo-Yo, Craig, when you hear powerbomb match, do you think that match would have, I don't know, no disqualification?
Usually, there's no indication. I've seen certain matches that have had DQs in the past.
Wouldn't you think the only way to win, especially when the commentators say it, is to powerbomb him?
Yeah. You would think there'd be no disqualifications to that. In the same way you'd think of a Hell in a Cell having no disqualifications and there must be a winner, and it doesn't end in a double count out.
Okay, that's for later. And then he says Nash and Steiner are going to get screwed tonight. Alright, anything about that whole segment?
I liked it. I think it was a good segment. It gave Funk some legitimacy because he's just a legend, and yeah, he can say some of the like he has passion for wrestling. You can hear it, and he made the show a bit better when he came on because it was a low point there, and he brought it all to a new level. Basically, he brought it back to okay, this is a decent show. And he made his point. Yeah, he made a point. He looked like a good authoritative figure, and I think it was a good choice for him to be chosen as that.
He was basically trying to show some kind of, I'm no longer going to take this abuse on this company. I'm going to fight against the NWO. And they were setting up a good storyline to start this off with. I think Russo did have good intentions with this before they continued and destroyed the feud.
All right.
Which we will see later at Sold Out.
When we get there. So, after that, my notes. So, match 4, I wrote Buff Bagwell versus Canyon with women.
Oh, I have one note on this part, on the entrance. Chris Canyon's fashion sense is god awful.
Dude, look at the photo.
Chris Canyon was the best.
Because here comes Chris Canyon wearing 2,000 glasses. Basically, it was New Year, so he's got those stupid glasses that have the year on them. So, So I thought it was a singles match between Buff Bagwell and Canyon because there was only two that came out. This Canyon cuts a promo about the town, not our town. Um, tells
And
and
yeah,
yeah, and basically tries to give Buff Bagwell champagne,
and then Buff said no, and then he was left alone,
and then
which was a lethal lottery match.
and then all these matches were lethal lottery matches, except for like there was like a team in there, but
Lex Luger and Tank Abbott, and then the Powerball match.
yeah.
Those
So,
were the only two non-lethal lottery.
so and then I think Buff beats up Canyon. So the actual match was supposed to be Buff Bagwell and Canyon versus Norman Smiley
Ah!
Norman Smiley
in
in a
in a
dog costume.
in a furry costume.
Representing the mascot of the local sports team.
Yep. Um.
I've never been so ashamed that he's British before.
This is also where I learned he was British, and then everything made sense.
And his tag team partner, Asia, who WCW was trying to turn into China but bigger.
Exactly. Russo trope. So obviously, Buff Bagwell and Chris Canyon were supposed to be the odd couple team.
Yep.
A team that couldn't get along, and you can't see if they work together, but they could be something that works.
Yeah.
Russo did this with Samoa Joe and Magnus, and they became actually a really good team.
Yeah.
Today, not this much.
So Buff taunts Norman. It's a match. The one thing I did write about this match is so many low blows in front of the referee. Like there was like 4 or 5, I thought. I don't remember, but there was a lot. Um, that's anything else before the finish?
Who's the face? Well, this one's obviously Buff Bagwell. He's the one guy facing against two. You want to root for the guy who's got the disadvantage. And Bagwell is still over. So, I guess he did a good job. I like Team Bagwell.
Yeah. Anything, Craig, about the match?
I felt that Bagwell put on a good performance. I know Canyon walked out the whole storyline thing, but Buff carried himself well and delivered a decent match. Asia did something. She wasn't completely awful, just not someone I'd go out my way to watch.
So,
And Norman Smiley, I did not pay any attention to his moves because I was distracted by the dog suit. Just why?
so basically the finish. Norman Smiley hits Asia with the head, and then he gets hit with the blockbuster, and Buff wins by himself. Good job, Buff. After the match, the Revolution come out, which is Shane Douglas, Benoit, Perry Saturn, and
Malenko.
Malenko. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Come out, beat up Buff, and then out comes Hacksaw Jim Duggan dressed as a janitor. Now, I forgot this, but then I remembered this is the time when he's going to find the TV title in the trash can.
I said, I think I've got on my notes. You have Jim Duggan, popular 80s wrestler. What are you going to do to get him over? Dress him all in brown.
Of course.
Brown onesie.
Put him in a brown onesie. Besides that,
This is another big Russo trope, and it's stable warfare. Russo loves putting everyone into a little group of people, and Craig will know this, and just smashing them all together and seeing what works. Now, in the WWF, he had a semi-successful intake with this with the Nation of Domination, because each one broke off from the original group and made their own version of their stable, so they would all fight, and then you could get a bunch of like lower mid cards onto there, and then just have something to fill the matches. I'm so glad Russo did not do this with the Revolution, and did the exact same arc because the filthy animals exist and the mafia, and apparently Jim Duggan is a member of the filthy animals, as we will soon see after this.
Yeah, because right after the Filthy Animals come out, who is I don't know who's in the Filthy Animals, but I do
It's
remember
Conan, Rey
I was like,
Mysterio,
I was like,
Hoovy,
I was like,
and Billy Kidman, the only white member because he's good friends with Mysterio.
the only thing I remember, Rey
Now,
Mysterio.
except Jim Duggan's now a
Yeah,
member.
Rey
He was supposed to be the filthy part of the filthy animals because he was like supposed to be like the dirty looking character from Raven's Flock. That's the reason why it was the filthy animals, apparently.
So the only thing I could only keep my eyes on, Rey Mysterio without his mask looks like a 12-year-old.
He always has.
People complain about Marco's stunt looking like a 12-year-old when in 2000 Ray looked like a 12-year-old without the mask.
So there's also in that. So anything else before we go?
I'm good.
Okay.
I have one more note. Perry Saturn's awful fashion sense as well. Just he's wearing like this terrible looking hat and like this weird orange, brown, and silver looking jacket and trouser combination. And I'm like, Jesus, does no one have any fashion sense? And I felt, oh wait, this is the year 2000. That would have probably been trendy then.
Also,
The 2000s is weird.
spoiler alert: 3 out of the 4 of the Revolution are going to be gone after sold out.
Yep.
So
But imagine if they had their own individual stables. If Malenko had his, if Asia had hers, if not Duggan, if Shane had his.
And the Revolution actually loses 4 of its 5 members because Eddie was a member. All the members of the Revolution basically leave and become the Radicals.
yep. But we'll get to that after sold out.
Actually, Eddie was in the Filthy Animals.
Yeah, he was in the Filthy Animals. He was in the LWO too. But
Mm-hmm.
in that promo, Kevin Nash also said I think he was going to try to kill David Flair or something. So we got a montage of Terry Funk and Arn Anderson looking for David Flair. So is the NWO, because they want David Flair for some reason. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Because Arn Anderson is the godfather to David Flair because he's basically Ric Flair's bestest friend ever. So obviously he's gonna be the godfather.
Yep.
And Kevin Nash is like, okay, you wanna fuck with me? I'm gonna just beat up your godson.
Cuz. So match number 5. It's a semifinal match. Nash and Steiner versus the Harris Twins, who get the jobber entrance.
Yep.
Nothing to say. Steiner's on commentary. Out comes the Varsity Club with chairs, beat up the Harris Twins, and then Steiner wins by kneeling on him and flexing.
Hey, you know what? The Harris brothers were protected.
Yeah.
And they are clearly the faces, and you want to cheer them on against the awful varsity members.
Yeah.
So therefore, you got them over as faces, I think. And again, this shows that Nash is a coward who doesn't want to do any work.
If I remember right, this match also had interference, didn't it?
Yeah, the Varsity Club came out.
And so my counter has, at the point, as I got this, 5 interferences from 6 or 7 matches. Yeah, they are averaging around, I've got the maths here, around 77% interference.
So, after this, Arn and Funk find Daphne. Daphne's telling him nothing, that David doesn't want to see him. And then Jarrett just kidnaps her.
Yep.
Oh, I hated this angle. It made me cringe. It felt really horrible to watch. Like, I think I called it weird, horrible, rapey vibes from Jeff kidnapping Daphne. Just no, you don't do the kidnap angle, and they did it earlier as well when they tried the Mona thing where they were covering her up. It felt creepy, but twice the creepy angle was done, and I was like, nope.
All right.
My enjoyment dropped at that point.
So the second semifinal match is Buff and Canyon versus David Flair and Crowbar. Crowbar does not come out with a crowbar. So
Again,
Oh,
David Flair did. Crowbar did not.
But before the match even gets to start, Canyon is doing stupid bumps again. Out comes Bam Bam Bigelow.
yes,
He,
Bam Bam.
he gets suplexed off the stage. He gets suplexed and then thrown off the stage through a table by Bam Bam Bigelow.
This is not how you sell a match, by the way. They did not build this up at all. He was just thrown off. Like this is a normal everyday thing.
Like,
Tables are not everyday things, WCW. This is WCW's fault, not Russo's.
Canyon does stupid shit. That's it.
I'd like to say this: Bam Bam at this point isn't the same like WWF Bam Bam you think like early '90s. He's now in his like legit I'm a badass character that came from ECW with the triple threat and then moved over to WCW, and he's still badass even at this point in his career. Like putting Canyon for a table was pretty cool. I did pop for that. But I love car crash wrestling sometimes, so I know my bias to that.
All right. So the first thing I said, "Hey, Arn and Terry, we found David Flair." And then out comes Vampiro. Now, I don't know why Vampiro came out. Did he just want to beat up on David Flair and Crowbar or something?
Vampiro was feuding with Crowbar and David Flair at the time.
Okay. Buff even asked Tony Schiavone about Vampiro.
I forgot about that.
I love Vampiro's theme. Just honestly, if you think about WCW 2000s and the theme music they had, like Sting's theme was still great. NWO theme was pretty good. Wolfpack theme for Nash was there, but Vampiro had such a unique and cool theme. He was a cool character, and he developed into sort of mid card to upper mid carder, nearing main event level at near the end of WCW.
So, Brain also had a quote. He's talking about what's gonna be down the road for WCW, great things, and I said, just you wait. So, Terry and Arm come out to talk to Flair, who's just screaming his head off. Like,
oh god, the screaming thing of like when they tell David Flair that Daphne had been kidnapped, it was just like this.
Okay, I know I'm supposed to be the good guy here, but fuck David Flair. He's the worst thing in any WCW ring. This is another pet peeve of mine. When you have a decent match, because you got some decent members in there, and all you did was just focus on David Flair going, ah! Ah! I'm watching the match through the ring post.
I had that written down too.
Ring post vision.
I wrote it down. There is a match going on here, guys.
I liked that it was. I liked the idea of how they were trying to do it, and I liked the idea of David Flair playing a borderline insane man-child, which is basically all I got from his gimmick, and he looks feminine. But they did it in the wrong way, and they distracted from the match, because the match with Vampiro and Crowbar was actually really good. Like, you got the Vampiro hit that sit-out powerbomb, which looked awesome. Like, he could go. Vampiro could go, and Crowbar could sell for pretty much anyone. He'd been pretty good in ECW as well.
All right. Yo-Yo, do you want to say anything before I get to the finish?
Who's the face?
Oh yeah, we gotta get this thing out.
Well, this is a tournament match, and there's clearly a lot of good teams on here. Everyone kind of had like a reason you wanted to cheer for them. So everyone except Vampiro and Canyon are basically the people you were supposed to be cheering for. Unless anyone wants to say something different.
Anything else, Craig?
No, I've got my points across.
Here is the finish. Vampiro goes out to yell at Arn and Terry. He gets beaten up by Arn and Terry right in front of the goddamn referee. Blockbuster to Vampiro, and then David Flair just pins him. That's it.
Interference number 6 out of 10.
And a tag team betrayal.
Well, it was like a thrown together tag team, so I'll give it a pass.
Yeah.
6 out of 8 matches in interference.
All right.
And we have 2 matches left.
So, out comes the NWO again
The theme just got annoying at this point.
with
We need to do a theme count. Why did we not do that?
We'll get to it next. Oh no! By the time they're done, by that time, with Daphne. I don't know what I wrote here, but David's starting to look for Daphne.
Yeah, he goes backstage with Crowbar.
Didn't he also beat up a box at some point?
Yes.
Oh, yes!
We've missed 2 backstage segments, but I will go and add to them. So we missed the Lash LaRue beating up Anger by the FBI mafia thing, where Lash LaRue puts on the worst Cajun accent I've ever heard in my life. It is the worst. He actually just became borderline, like, unwatchable. And I think I put Lash LaRue is the worst. Bad at wrestling, bad at promos, bad character, bad look, bad. In all capitals. And then we have the segment where David Flair and Crowbar finish the match, go backstage, pick up weapons, and are searching for Daphne. And David Flair just does this flimsy with his arm, holding a crowbar that barely dents a cardboard box on a shelf. And I thought, that is ratings. That is money. Just you can't bend a cardboard box with a crowbar.
And of course, this is a physical crowbar, not WCW.
Not his tag team partner, no. Although that
But it would be amazing if he did.
Yeah.
He's insane, don't you get it?
All right. So we move on to a powerbomb match. Sid versus Jeff Jarrett for the U.S. title. Sid comes out in a stupid fucking neck brace.
Dear wrestling promoters, neck bracers don't make people look badass.
Mm-mm.
It just makes them look sad. Didn't work with Jesse Sorensen, did not work now.
Did not work for Shark Boy during the barbed wire Christmas tree.
He won that match. That made badass.
Yeah.
But like, neck braces are made to put in sympathy for a person. And no, you're supposed to be scared of Sid because he's a badass guy who can kill anyone.
Okay, and I'm still on the interest. Sid's dumb music.
Oh God.
It was bad.
It wasn't the best.
Like, I don't even remember what it was, but it just ingrained in my head.
I think before that we were still talking about Lex Luger's Biddle music as the worst.
The Biddle music, yeah.
I think this was Biddle Piano.
Like, I'm guessing he had like a copyrighted song or something.
Mm.
WCW edit.
Oh yeah, he had the terrible piano theme. That was it.
Yeah.
It was bad, but not as bad as Luger's.
So, other thing, why does Jeff Jarrett have pyro?
Because Vince Russo loves him.
Good point. Okay.
And he was kind of really being pushed to be the next big thing for WCW.
Yeah. So, the only thing I wrote down about this match before the finish, oh, 2 things actually. Why is there a 2 count in a powerbomb match? Because they went for covers for some reason.
Oh, this match made no sense. I don't think the referee knew the rules of it. I don't know if anyone in the match knew the rules of it. It was like, go out there, do thing. And the thing was terrible. Because I wouldn't even call it a proper match. I would just call it a thing.
And then there were power plant guys sitting at ringside. There's 2 guys I recognized. That was Chuck Palumbo and Mark Jindrak.
Someone we thought was Batista.
And someone we thought was Dave Batista.
And then, of course, Sean O'Hare.
Oh, yeah, Sean O'Hare was there.
Sean O'Hare mullet. That's also on the list.
You 2 watched it back. Was it Dave Batista?
I couldn't tell. I don't think it was, though. I don't know if he was in the power plant at all.
Let me see.
Let's find out.
Dave Batista.
Dave Bautista.
Oh yeah, I tell you.
Oh
what,
god, I just misclicked and got Dave Berry. He's a Capital Radio presenter. Why did I look that up?
WCW Batista tried out for the WCW power plant.
Oh shit, that was Dave Bautista.
Oh my god.
This is like seeing John Cena and Ready to Rumble.
Like why?
Oh man.
God, why? Okay, anything before I get to the finish?
For this match, I forget even where we are.
The powerbomb match.
Nope.
No, I haven't.
Who's the base? Obviously Sid. He's the dude in the neck brace. What do you expect?
Yeah.
And not even the simplest of matches can stay intact with these rules.
All right. So here's the finish in the powerbomb match. Bret Hart comes out and hits him with a bat for the DQ. Isn't this supposed to be a powerbomb match? Isn't the winner supposed to hit him with a powerbomb?
Well, clearly, if you get hit with any other move, you're DQ'd.
If you want to go with that goofy logic,
I just.
I don't.
I'm. This infuriated me. Because this was the 7th interference in 9 matches that we had seen.
So basically, the whole NWO spray paint and hit him.
Yeah.
That's it. All right.
This was more a segment to get over future matches between them and to carry on the feud, rather than to actually just, do a match that could build up to a match later on.
By the way, Craig, this is 8 and 9. I just looked through everything and remember the finishes.
All right.
Oh my god, this actually...
We're at the main event. The finals of the tournament. Nash and Scott Steiner versus Crowbar and David Flair.
I giggled when we were going up to this. This was the main event. Main event, David Flair.
No, main event
Crowbar.
David Crowbar.
So, first thing, couple things. Scott Steiner is on commentary again, and he was the best part of this match.
Now he's acting like in normal Steiner mode.
So, first off, there was no ref in the ring at the beginning of this. Even Kevin Nash was wondering what the hell was going on. So, I wrote here, Steiner called someone shit, like 3 times, on commentary.
He also called, he called, Daphne an ugly ass bitch. Which I giggled at and was like, yes, like, I think when I was like, yet again, savage AF Scott Steiner.
All right. So Kevin Nash is beating him up 2-on-1 for like 5 minutes. So he's just beating him and beating him and beating him. Isn't this 2-on-1? Why can't you tag team? And then Scott Steiner started chewing out Mike Tenay for not calling a Hurricane Rana the Frankensteiner. I laughed.
Though.
I was so happy he was doing this because I do remember there's going to be a sit-down interview with him, with Scott Steiner and Mike Tenay about this. It's gonna be funny. And I remember it was funny. So Arn Anderson comes out as the referee. Anything to say before the finish?
Basically, now we're coming to a contender. Nash and Steiner are scaredy cats, and they never wanted to do anything without having the upper hand.
Nash was beating him up 2-on-1 by himself.
Nash
Yeah.
This is Nash at his peak laziness.
Well, yeah, because he was fresh. He had 2 opponents that were already knocked out for him, and then 2 opponents that were beaten up before him. So therefore, he was fresher as compared to David Flair and Crowbar, who were painstakingly working themselves to be exhausted. So that's why they had to be fighting off. And that's why the faces are clearly Flair and Crowbar.
Yeah. I always thought it was just so funny how lazy Nash is in this whole episode.
All right, are we ready for the finish?
I think I made a quad joke when we watched it, but that was it.
All right, so the finish is Craig added to your tally. It's another interference.
That's 100%.
Arn hits Nash with crowbar, the object, and then drags Flair on top of him for the win. So.
And then Scott Steiner was mesmerized because he couldn't get past the yellow security guards because that is the NWO's weakness.
Yep. So, in the main event of a WCW Nitro, David Flair and Crowbar won the WCW Tag Team titles.
This is where I started laughing hysterically.
But guess what, folks? We're not done. So,
because David Flair and Crowbar are crazy!
The NWO come out again and lays out all the security. Then David Flair
or Chris Harris.
David Flair, who Arn Anderson helped, hit Arn in the back of the head with an object.
Crazy! Ah!
Then the NWO started to beat up Arn Anderson and Terry Funk, left Terry Funk in the ring, took Arn backstage, threw him in a trunk. The Funk is out, and then they drove off with Arn in the trunk. We don't know what happened.
Arn.
And
it's like the Samoa Joe got kidnapped by ninjas angle, but
what happened to Arn Anderson? I don't even know.
We'll find out next week, folks. Tune in.
You want to know
kidnapped by NWO ninjas.
You want to know what the funny part is? It's probably going to be explained on Thunder, but we don't even know.
There are no Thunder on the WWE Network, so we are going only with Nitro.
We're only going to Nitro because if we.
And this is the problem with Russo. You need to watch literally every single part of something
to
understand it.
To make any sense.
So, at the end of this, when the NWO were driving off in the car, I just wrote 5 words, and they're actually the title of this episode. Why are we doing this? And that was my ending comment. Yo-Yo, your thoughts on the main event?
Well, I think it had everything come to a dramatic crescendo. And now the good guys won, and now they've gotten the tag titles. And now they can celebrate because the good guys who worked the hardest were the ones who ended up on top, clearly. And the NWO who were playing the villains totally lost.
Craig, final thoughts on the main event?
Main event was probably the most cohesive match of the night somehow. Made sense to have Flair and Crowbar win, get some semblance of revenge and Risky Daphne. So yeah, like Crowbar and Flair winning. Your tag champion and main event winner is David Flair. That made me laugh hysterically. Then you had like the beatdown angle and Arn getting kidnapped. Just like third kidnap angle of the night. And then after rewatching this, I have like in my brackets and my math, if my maths are correct, 80% minimum interference angle, like interference in matches. 90% if you count the other one that Yo-Yo just mentioned. So 90% of your matches ending in interference. How is this even possible in wrestling?
What match doesn't have interference on your leg?
Canyon match. No,
the Canyon match
above
with
Canyon, Norman Smiley, and Asia.
Oh shoot, you're right. I was wrong.
Yeah, 80%. 80%.
I mean, that had a run-in at the end.
And then there was the what was the other match?
There was none.
There was none.
I have the list right here. Harris Brothers versus Buzzkill and Mike Rotunda. Standards and Practices came out.
Harris and NWO.
Varsity
No.
Club came out.
Varsity Club beat them up.
Oh. Yeah, Liz, Varsity on...
Okay, I guess Scott Steiner and Kevin Nash versus PG-13?
No, because that's
No,
because
I counted
the beat up happened before the match.
I counted DDP. I've got interference 1, Anderson practices. Interference 2, DDP. Interference 3, Stevie Wright. Interference 4, Liz. Interference 5, Varsity Club. Interference 6, Arn. Interference 7, Brett. Interference 8, the one you referenced.
Arn again.
Interference 9, Arn again.
so that's 8 out of 9.
Oh my god.
Yes, 8 out of 9.
8 out of 9 matches ended in interference.
All right,
Oh,
Yo-Yo,
that hurts my brain.
thoughts on the show as a whole?
Okay. I feel that if you just took a little more time to flesh out certain matches and like develop teams and characters and give them a little few more vignettes and promos and not just have everyone hating each other, you could have at least gotten a bump. Vince Russo made this show as a way to promote the ratings and get things better. He needed to take a little more time to get this done, but I think this show had potential. But this may be one of the worst shows I've ever seen in my life.
Craig?
It had its moments where it made me entertained because of the sheer bizarro nonsense that was on the screen. And that's what Russo does best. Russo does bizarro nonsense. Like, Jim Cornette is right about him. He's an absolute moron who lives in a bizarro world. But when he brings that bizarro world to your screen and can put that into a unique product, that's the only way to describe a unique product for Russo, it can be entertaining. And this, despite it being I've got my notes here. I've got entertainment value 3 out of 5. So this is on a +5 -5 scale. Wrestling product value -4. Overall show rating -1. So this was a bad show, but it's so oddly entertaining that it's not the worst show ever. I've
If I had to
seen
give this, go, keep going.
I've seen much worse wrestling that annoyed me more, and I've seen much better wrestling annoy me more. But this was a actually entertaining show with bad wrestling.
If I had to give this, it'd be 1 star out of 5. But because I could go to the end of that. 1 star means I came to see the beginning of the show and I survived to the end of the show.
All right.
1.5 means someone cared and no one cared in the show. Not in the. Actually, I think about it. I'm going to do this to 1.5 because Terry Funk cared. Terry Funk gives an entire half star because he cared. As for everyone else, they didn't. And this was not a good show. And even though there was like the blueprint for something to work.
Yeah, and my entertainment notes are David Flair screaming, gave me like a stupid entertainment value. David Flair hitting cardboard box, point. Vampiro got a full point, not half a point. And Funk and DDP just killing PG-13. That gave me half a point. So that's where my entertainment value was 3 points. 5 little angle.
All right.
I think there's just one more person we need to ask for their opinion, and that is Sophie. Because during this time, I was making this entire show in EW.
Look, I'm gonna get to my thoughts quick.
Go ahead. I'll get the show started.
Yeah, get the show started. Like you were saying, I haven't seen a Vince Russo show since TNA. I want to say, watching old school TNA. It's as bad as I remember. Like every match does not have to end in someone coming out. Some of the wrestling in it was good. Vampiro. Things I gotta criticize. The run-ins, NWO music playing the whole entire time. They didn't have to come up for mostly every segment. And then just this, just PG-13 was my big gripe. I've seen worse shows. I can think of one show worse that happened this year, worse than this. So, all in all, I'm not dead. So, Let's ask Sophie.
Okay, so the Harris brothers don't exist in this universe, so I replaced them with Harlem Heat.
What?
So Harlem Heat beat Buzzkill and Mike Rotunda. It got 1 star, and Mike Rotunda did not like selling.
Oh God.
Overall rating 58, and the crowd, and only because the crowd liked it. Kevin Nash and Wolfie Dean Idol because JC Ice is on this universe. So that got 1.5 stars.
Oh.
Slightly better. The crowd loved it, and it was a better match. David Flair Crowbar, Midnight Flasheroo. Another 1.5 stars. Another good rating because the crowd apparently really liked these guys. Oh, and here we go. Lex Luger versus Tank Abbott. Dud. 37%. And Tank Abbott gained the point of overness, though.
For him.
I forgot to hire writers. So, I only did interviews for this part, but I do angles next time we do this. Terry Funk hit a very big interview on Kevin Nash. Got 76, the highlight of the show thus far. Much like in real life.
Yeah.
Backbone Canyon, aka versus Asia Norman Smiley. Again, 1.5 stars. 62%, but crowd still somewhat likes it. Daphne gains a point of how the hell did Daphne get 70%?
For
Just like doing an interview with Jeff Jarrett.
Oh, this is you say the kid Nathaniel TW got 70%.
Nash and Steiner versus Harlem Heat. 1.5 stars. The crowd loves this. I did not expect this to work. Crowbar and Flair versus Vampiro and Buck Bagwell. 2 stars. Perfectly acceptable wrestling. That match was considered perfectly acceptable in Sophie's eyes. 1.5 stars for Jeff Scarrett versus Sid. 60%. Tag titles have gained an image because Flair and wait, I forgot. Because Nash and Steiner have creative control, Flair and Crowbar lost.
oh.
So now I just have them be the tag champs.
All right.
And the entire show got a 56%, and it would have been very high if it were not for Tank being Lex Luger.
56.
Oh, and a few incidents. David Flair is now injured.
Oh God. Dang it.
David Flair took the Bret Hart route in your TW set.
All right.
Oh,
We got one more thing to do.
the award.
We gotta give our awards. So we thought it'd be a good idea to give 4 awards out for this. We have the MVP of the night. We have best segment / match, best spot, and then the wooden spoon. The wooden spoon is the person who we thought didn't contribute jack shit, or was just the worst thing. So let's start with the MVP. Craig, who is your MVP for the night?
I put Steiner. Steiner was funny on promos. When he was wrestling, was decent in the matches. He just brought entertainment value. He was my MVP. Just simple. Like, I'm a Steiner fan anyway, so he did enough for in this bad show to win MVP.
Yo-Yo, your MVP for the night.
Oh God! Now that I've looked through this again, Kevin Nash. No. Oh, that's actually tough. Now, when I saw through this again, I thought Scott Steiner was. Now I say. Actually, yeah, I'm just gonna still say Scott Steiner. He had the best arc, and he was the one who kind of drove the storyline home. He was very obnoxious. He was a jerk. He was getting everything done, and then he got his comeuppance in the end. And he knew what Russo was going for, and he kept it up. I feel like he's gonna keep doing that, and that's why he becomes a world champion later on in this year.
We are 3 for 3. Scott Steiner is my MVP as well. 2 particular things: saying shit 3 times on live television, and calling out Mike Tenay about the Frankensteiner thing. Craig, best match slash segment.
Best match slash segment for me was Vampiro buff Crowbar Flair. Vampiro in the match was doing some cool spots. I think it told a complete story. Flair screaming was an entertaining distraction. The stupidity of the corner post vision for a second made me chuckle. And yeah, I just thought it was a pretty good match. Compared to the rest of the matches on the show, it was a good match.
Yo-Yo?
Now that I'm looking back at it, yeah, Bagwell, Vampiro, Flair, and Crowbar still had the best match on the show.
Same here.
Though I want to say, like, the most underrated match was probably Midnight and Lash LaRue versus Flair and Crowbar. Just because Midnight proved that she could actually be interesting.
Midnight could go better than Lash LaRue.
Alright. Best spot. Craig.
Okay, you go first, Greg.
For me, it has to go to the cardboard box. I don't know why. The Flair hitting the cardboard box where it barely bent a cardboard box when he hit him with a crowbar just made me laugh so much. And just the weird screaming noises and that, the hands, well. Just, it was magical. It was the dumbest segment of the night, but it was the best. It was the best actual backstage spot / segment. Hitting a cardboard box with a crowbar.
Spot of the night. Yo-Yo.
Oh God. The box was funny, but I think Nash is just a born comedian. So him pinning Wolfie D with the tights after he's clearly been laid out is the best joke I've ever seen in wrestling.
Alright. Mine's still like the Vampiro set up powerbomb. It just looked that crisp. But if we're gonna talk weird shit, I would say Kevin Nash with the tights, or Scott Steiner just one knee flexing while pinning a dude. Now we come to the penultimate award, the wooden spoon. Craig, who do you give your wooden spoon to?
Despite me going on a rant about him during the middle of the thing, Jerry Flynn, the segment wasn't the worst. The worst, and the point I wanted to turn off, was Lash LaRue. Damn it, Lash LaRue, why are you so bad? It was just absolutely atrocious, and I'm glad he got beaten up by the FBI in that segment.
Okay.
You made me cheer for the heels. You did the wrong thing. You are the worst babyface ever.
Yo-Yo, wooden spoon.
David Flair. He makes the good matches bad and the bad matches worse. He doesn't know how to do anything in the ring. He actively took away from what could have been a decent match. He got pushed to the moon, and that's only because he came from Ric Flair's sperm. And he sucks. He's awful. There's nothing good about him. The only things that are funny is when he's incompetent and can't beat up a box. Fuck David Flair.
Okay. I was going, as I told you when we first watched this, I was going to give mine to PG-13. But I'm going to change my mind. Because PG-13 did stuff I don't remember. There's one thing I do remember that pissed me off more. My wooden spoon award goes to Jeff fucking Jarrett.
Oh, okay.
For Slappy New Year. and losing a powerbomb match losing a powerbomb match by DQ.
That it makes sense. It does. Jarrett was shit on that episode. Honestly, Jarrett was shit, but not as bad as Lash. But I do agree with your choice.
All right. So that continues. That ends episode 1 of WCW 2000. We'll be back at some point.
Let's all watch something good.
Well,
Let's go watch 3-2-1 Battle.
3-2-1 battle. Um,
Let's go watch Progress Chapter, whatever one it is, on the YouTube.
so we'll be.
That's where I'm going.
So we'll be back. I already looked over next week's episode, and it even looks worse. So that's great.
Oh, it's worse. So worse.
So, just a couple of things. Craig's got the Forever Wrestling going on. Bad Yo-Yo's got the Brawl for Me.
A brawl for me.
Going on. I've got nothing. Except so we will see you at the next time. And remember, Vince Russo is still kind of shit. Thank you.
God bless Russo.
God bless you, Russo.